The other day I had a realization that it was June 2nd, and I say all year that June is my favorite month of the year. The reason I say that is because there are warm days sprinkled into April and May, but you can reliably count on that warm summer weather where you can go to the pool, where you can be outside in June. Also, everything is green and grown up. It's not just freshly emerging, but there are leaves everywhere. It's fully green. Everything is vibrant and beautiful. It's the month I dream about all year, and I want to be careful not to miss it. Before you know it, in July, late July, August, people start talking about back to school and fall, and though I'm not going to do that because I hold on to summer, it still feels very fleeting. And so I want to take advantage of it. I want to not spend all of my time in our house cooking and cleaning and doing the kind of projects that we maybe would be doing in the wintertime. And with that, summer's a time where your house can get neglected, especially if you are on a homestead or just making a priority of being outside. So right now, just to fill you in on what I'm doing, we got our water kefir grains going again for the summertime. Typically, I let them die. Sometime in the fall or winter, I get sick of doing water kefir, but then to have a refreshing, bubbly drink throughout the summer is just so nice. So I made some elderberry syrup. Instead of using juice to flavor the water kefir this time, I put elderberry syrup into finished water kefir and into my flip top jars for a second ferment with that elderberry syrup. So that's a really nice immune boosting thing. I had some left over because we all had a sickness that went through our entire family, but now I'm using the rest of it up by making this delicious fermented drink and then getting the water kefir going again just by adding sugar and water to the water kefir grains for a first ferment, and then the cycle will continue throughout the summer and we'll have these fizzy, bubbly drinks. Our home and meals can get a bit neglected in the summertime because we want to be outside. We don't want to spend all of our time in the kitchen. One thing that I'm really enjoying in our kitchen is making up a large amount of bagels and slicing them and freezing them so you can just pop them apart, put them in a toaster, and make a quick summer sandwich. I've been experimenting with all different kinds of grains in my bagels. Today, I did 260 grams of spelt, which is about equivalent to 2 cups of flour. I like to weigh grains whenever I'm doing an ancient grain because they get so fluffy when they come out of the mill that a cup of flour, if you were to pack it down, would be a whole different amount of flour. So when I'm putting a freshly milled ancient grain into any recipe, I just do 130 grams to replace a cup. So I did a double batch of bagels, which is 8 cups of flour. So I did 260 grams of spelt, that's 2 cups. Then I did 3 cups of freshly milled hard white and 3 cups of white flour. I find that these bagels do amazingly with a lot of whole grain, but then just a little bit of all-purpose really helps it to have a better texture. And it is just one of my hacks. One of my summer homemaking priorities is to have easy to make foods in the freezer and ready. So if my sisters say, hey, let's go meet at the pool or the park, and I need something fast, if I have some quality cheese and deli meat or cream cheese, I can take my bag of bagels, toast them, and make some quick sandwiches, even if I didn't have any bread going. This happened the other day because our plans change sometimes on Sunday. We don't always do the same thing. We ended up going out to my parents' house a lot earlier than I normally go. We usually go around dinner time. So I took one of my bags of bagels from the freezer, grabbed some salami, some cream cheese, and we were out the door, and I just made the sandwiches while we were there. One way that I replenish myself and focus on hydration in the summertime when I'm buzzing all over the place, working on homemaking or leaving the house to enjoy the outdoors is with today's video sponsor, LMNT. LMNT is a tasty electrolyte drink with all of the things you need and nothing that you don't. That means a lot of salt with no sugar. It contains a science-backed electrolyte ratio, 1000 milligrams sodium, 200 milligrams potassium, 60 milligrams magnesium, no sugar, no coloring, no artificial ingredients, no gluten, no fillers. Electrolytes facilitate hundreds of functions in the body, including the conduction of nerve impulses, hormonal regulation, nutrient absorption, and fluid balance. LMNT can help prevent and eliminate symptoms associated with electrolyte imbalance or electrolyte deficiency, things like headaches, muscle cramp, fatigue. We're prone to this, especially in the summertime. Even if you're not working out, just sweating more and being active with all of the fun summer activities. Right now, LMNT is offering Farmhouse On Boone viewers a free sample pack with any order. That's 8 single serving packets free with any LMNT order. This is a great way to try 8 LMNT flavors or share LMNT with a salty friend. Get yours at drinklmnt.com/Farmhouse on Boone. The deal is only available through my link. You must go to drinklmnt.com/Farmhouse on Boone. I've also been relying on very easy ground beef type of recipes. I like ground beef on busy days because if I'm not in like the best kitchen flow because we're off doing other things, I can get ground beef out, put it in some hot water, and then quickly make it into a meal without any forethought, without thinking about it first. So today I am making some goulash with some noodles, some ground beef, a couple seasonings, diced onions, canned tomatoes. Of course, when those fresh summer tomatoes come, adding those in would be just delicious. You cook the noodles right in the pot with some broth. I have some beef broth in the fridge I used the other day. It'll all come together. So my priorities in the kitchen when it comes to summertime are simple meals, ones I could pull together quickly and easily. Also prep days that allow me that flexibility on future days when I have more going on. But then also ones that lend themselves very nicely to fresh ingredients. We don't have a lot of those just yet. But even being able to add some fresh herbs and thinking through some of these recipes that will allow you to add in all the fresh things as they become abundant. Whether you have a garden or not, there are certain things that are just better in the summer. Some other tips for simple summer meal planning is to batch prep ingredients. So as those fresh things become available, chopped tomatoes, cucumbers, herbs, store in the fridge for easy use when you're trying to just get outside during the nice parts of the day. One pot meals, sheet pan meals, meals that use minimal dishes. So having a whole chicken thawed out and arranging a bunch of vegetables around it with some oil and salt, putting that in the oven to cook for several hours, low and slow, or even a quick roast will make it to where you can be very hands off. Instant pot meals, slow cooker meals, something you can prep in the morning, not heat up your kitchen and just let cook all day long. Even though things like roasts are more of a winter staple with mashed potatoes and gravy and maybe sourdough dinner rolls, they're so nice to get you out the door in the summer. Put them in the Instant Pot with a cup of water, let them cook low and slow, and then at night make fajita bowls or tacos or big meal salads with that meat on top and fresh veggies and hard-boiled eggs. All are things that can keep you from spending a ton of time in there. With lunch out of the way and bagels started and my sourdough starter fed with the leftover grains I milled from the bagels, we're gonna head out to the farm to check on the build progress. We kind of have 3 things going right now. Of course, there's so many big plans for this property, but many of those will be years down the line. Something that we really hoped we could do, and obviously summer's just ticking away, so we'll see. We hoped that we could get the barn fully finished and the pool long before the house would be finished, that we'd have something to do at our farm while we're out working on the build, something for the kids to do, a place to take shelter, a place to be, a place to store things. So that's kind of why we have all of this going on right now. And of course, everything takes longer and has a bit of a different timeline than you expect, but it's all coming along. The house is taking shape. We're making progress on the barn. It just took a lot of collecting of different materials. So we had to get roof sheathing and siding and order some windows for the barn, deciding on the placement for those and the sizes for those. The roof is ordered. So there are a lot of things that we have been working on. So it doesn't look like a lot of progress, but all of the progress is going to happen fast now that all of that stuff is ordered and taken care of. So though we're not doing a lot of homesteading this year like we have in summers past, milking a dairy cow, tending a garden, we only have a very small garden this year. We are still spending a lot of time out of the house working on those future dreams and plans, and things at home can take a back seat. Most of my summer homemaking priorities have to do with food and being prepared. I think a lot of people stop baking sourdough in the summer, but for me, it's a lifeline because I can get some dough going, and with how warm the kitchen is, I can put it on a really accelerated process and already be using it for dinner time. My daughter and I were talking recently about how we love a big, juicy burger on a fluffy bun, to the point where I was like, you know what, let's just go buy some buns because I want to taste, a burger that's not on a whole grain, long fermented sourdough bun. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Every once in a while, you're like, that just would be so good. But I decided instead that I would just make quick fermented sourdough buns. So I'm taking all-purpose flour. I'm still using starter, but I'm putting it in a warm location, which is fairly easy to find in the summertime, and making it all in one day so that they're not super sour, they're super fluffy, and they just taste like store-bought buns. So we can just have very conventional type burgers for dinner. Every once in a while, I'm like, if I'm going to go buy buns, why would I not just take some of my kitchen ideals and bend them so that I'm still yielding a healthier result by far, because I'm making it in my home, I'm making them from scratch, but also getting that thing that we're craving, just like burgers and fries. What could be more summer, all-American than that? I can't wait till we can put on a juicy tomato from somebody's garden, maybe ours. We do have tomatoes in our garden. Even today, dressed with some homemade mayo and cheddar cheese and onions on those fluffy buns will be a wonderful treat. While I finish up making this meal, let's talk about a few more homemaking priorities. Recently, I did a video where I shared my summer cleaning routine and how I simplify cleaning so that I don't feel like I need to spend all of this time, maybe one day a week, cleaning the house from top to bottom. More quick, on-the-fly summer cleaning routines is how I'm handling this season. Some things that you could try is a 10-minute tidy in the morning. So just starting your day with a quick tidy up, clearing off counters, wiping up the kitchen table, sweeping, or running a vacuum through the house just real quick. I would also add throwing a few things in a bag and just decluttering on the fly to keep your home running efficiently. You could even just pick one small spot or one small zone per day to declutter, like a drawer or a shelf, so you're not overwhelmed with it. I could see in the winter doing this deep declutter because you're inside, you're looking at all of your things. For me in the summer, it's more on the fly. I have a trash bag sitting by the door, and when I see something that I feel like people aren't really playing with anymore, it's just getting left out, but nobody really enjoys it anymore, or there's clothes that no longer fit, or there's a hole in it, or a stain, they will either go to a donation bag or the trash, just trying to stay on top of it and not let it get to a point this winter where I have to go through absolutely everything, but just maintaining and staying on top of things throughout the summer so that the house doesn't feel overwhelming. One of my summer priorities is to make sure that there is time for relaxation, time for fun. Even if you're not doing a big summer vacation, we actually don't have one planned this summer. A lot of summers we will go to the beach or do something where we pack up as a family and go somewhere. And we don't have any big trips like that planned this year, but mostly because we're building a house. But even if you don't, making sure there are moments set aside for joy, picnics, movie nights, sitting on the porch with a good book. I hype up June in my brain all year long. It's the best time of year. I love July too. I love summer. And knowing how short it is and how at the end of it, I always feel like I cannot believe summer's over. I want to embrace it, even though we're in a very busy season right now with all of the build and we're expecting a new baby this summer. I still want to be sure that at the end of summer, I don't regret spending some slow time outside, which means that we need to simplify inside. We need to have simple meals, focus on those fresh ingredients to take advantage of all those flavors, simplify the cleaning routine, the laundry routine, the decluttering routine, saving the deep cleaning, saving the elaborate meals and the big indoor projects, and going through every closet for the colder months, the ones where we're stuck inside. As usual, most of these recipes can be found on farmhouseonboone.com. I will leave links down in the description box below if you want to check them out. Obviously, I made some adaptations, but I noted those here. I'm always loving to experiment. Every child in our family walked in the kitchen at some point throughout this and said, "Ooh, we're having burgers for dinner." We make so many ground beef recipes, but for whatever reason, just making a classic hamburger on a hamburger bun is not something that we do very often. Now I'm prepping my bagels for the freezer. I put them straight in the freezer. Even if we're planning to eat them in the next 3 days, I'll do that because they maintain freshness and they just taste so much better after being frozen and put into the toaster. I don't really know why, but they do. And so that is like, I want to fill the entire freezer with bagels because they're just such a great summer lifeline. Another thing I've been doing, because late at night, I always want a little bit of something, especially now that I'm pregnant. But to be honest, I always kind of do. But even more now, I find myself getting hungry in the middle of the night. And we have that Ninja Creamy, and we also have an ice cream maker. And I think I've talked about it a ton on here before, but they both have their place in my opinion. I think that having these little containers of ice cream already made up in the freezer, all you have to do is just whip them up in that creamy, is a really nice way to, one, preserve milk. So if you have a bunch of extra milk, getting some extra of these containers and then freezing them with the intention of them being ice cream is really great. But it's also just a super fast and easy thing to prep ahead for a summer craving or a late night snack. We like to keep them full. We'll have them as a dessert, just any old time. As long as they're frozen in there, you're just a few minutes away from having ice cream. I like to add egg yolks. This is something I've been doing more lately for the additional protein, as well as giving it a creamier, custardy type texture. Of course, it's still raw milk. I'm not cooking it, so obviously use your own discretion there. But for me personally, this is something that I'm good with, and I really enjoy having that additional protein, some vanilla, some maple syrup. They're creamy and good. We'll also use them for summer coffee drinks. My daughters do this all the time. They'll make a shot of espresso in the afternoon and do affogato style, I guess you'd call it, with some ice cream, or they'll blend it up and make it frappuccino style. Just nice to have on hand in the summer. Now, though we don't have a big family vacation planned, my son and I got out for a very quick trip. We got in around 10 p.m. on a Wednesday night. We stayed all day on Thursday, and then we flew out very early on Friday. So a super quick trip to Bath, Maine. So I shared in our farmhouse design video that I had the awesome opportunity to work with Brent Hall, helping to design our new old house. And he was able to partner me with and introduce me to a cabinet company called Kennebec. That's right on the Kennebec River in Bath, Maine. So I've been working with them on the design, and I'll be sharing way more in depth the design with you all. But I want the kitchen to be very functional for our large family, but to also have some pieces that feel like furniture. So there'll be cabinetry, but there'll also be pieces that feel like furniture as well. And I really felt like they understood the vision, and we did absolutely not have to go to Maine, but they thought it'd be really cool if I was able to see some of the hardware and the finishes in person and take a tour of the cabinet shop. And we can't get away long, but when I presented the idea to Luke, he said, why don't you just take one of our sons, one that I don't believe he and I have ever been anywhere, just the two of us together. So it seemed like a really fun opportunity to get away just for a couple days. We took a little lobster cruise. We enjoyed some Maine lobster. I've never been to Maine before. I've been to nearly every state in the US, but Maine was one of the ones that I have not been to. And so we had a great time touring the cabinet shop, looking at some of the finishes and the designs, heading to a local Italian bakery, getting out on the water, and then quickly heading back. We were both very, very tired, but it did feel like an embracing summer, embracing the season that we're in kind of moment. So I enjoyed that.